Good morning, everyone. In today's class, we will be discussing about digital campaign in assembly elections. Okay, to the upcoming assembly elections to the states of Bihar, Assam, West Bengal. Okay, and two other states. Okay, so for that, recently, when it comes to the state of Bihar, this digital campaign was already started. Okay. So Election Commission also, with respect to this, issued some guidelines. Okay. Along with physical campaigning. Okay. So in that context, I felt like we can discuss some information about electoral campaigns in India. Okay. So that's the issue, the e-campaign, electronic campaign. So that's the issue. So for this, the structure of the lecture, if you see, first we will be discussing about the recent issue. Then we will be going into the elections in India, like how elections in India will be conducted, and modes of electoral campaigns, election campaigns, and what are the issues with specifically the digital campaigns and how to tackle. Okay. So this is the whole structure of the lecture. And if you connect this to the syllabus, this exclusively we can use in GS paper 2. Okay. So in GS paper 2, we have polity and governance. So in polity and governance, whenever you're writing any information with respect to elections, okay, this particular information will be useful. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, if you see, these are the states and one union territory, they will be going for the elections in the next coming months. And in that, if you see, the first one is Bihar. Okay, so the current Bihar's assembly session will be ending by the end of November 2020. Okay, so in that month itself, Election Commission of India planned to conduct elections for the state of Bihar. The dates are not yet released. Okay, but Election Commission is planning to conduct elections. It is ready. Okay, so along with the state of Bihar, in the next coming months, we have elections for the state of Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, Assam, and the Union Territory of Puducherry. As of now, we have 3 union territories, okay, with the legislative assemblies. One is Delhi, second one is Puducherry, and third one is J&K. The recently created union territory J&K, by separating from the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir, we have 2 union territories, the union territory of J&K and the UT of Ladakh. Okay, so as of now, these 3 union territories having the legislative assemblies. Among them, for Puducherry, in the upcoming months, we will be having general elections. Okay, so these are the upcoming 5 states and union territories will be having elections in the coming months. Okay, this is some general information for your understanding. Next, let us come to the current issue. So as I mentioned, recently, Election Commission of India, okay, so with respect to conducting of elections, issued certain guidelines, because we all in the present COVID-19 times. So in the present COVID times, conducting elections means it's a very big challenge for the administrative machinery of the country, especially to the Election Commission of India, because the powers are vested with the Election Commission of India to conduct elections for the Parliament, state legislative assemblies, President, Rajya Sabha, state legislative councils, okay, etc. And as you all know, due to the current COVID-19 situation, so we will be definitely facing challenges. So in these times, how the election should be conducted. So for that purpose, Election Commission of India came up with certain guidelines. What kind of precautions we should follow, okay, while going for the election, this election campaigns. Okay, so for that, if you see here, Election Commission is very much determined for conducting elections. Okay, so in the recent past too, we have seen in countries like recently we have seen in Sri Lanka, we have seen happening of elections, and we have seen happening of elections in Singapore and even in South Korea. South Korea, when the COVID situation was at its peak in the globe, that time itself South Korea conducted elections. Okay, so in India too, Election Commission decided like we too will be having elections, even though we are facing the current COVID-19 issues. Oh. So now if you see in what way, what kind of guidelines that are being provided by the Election Commission of India, okay, to conduct elections in the next coming months. Okay, see here, if you see the first point here, those who are the COVID patients. Okay, so those who like who are suspected to have this COVID-19 are those who got the COVID positive. Okay, so these people will be allowed to last. They will not be allowed to vote first. Okay, separate list will be prepared and they will be allowed to vote last so that they will not spread the disease to others. Second one, certain precautions like mandatory wearing of these gloves, hand gloves. Hand gloves are must before casting their votes via electronic voting machines, EVMs. So they must use the gloves. So for that, the states have to make arrangements. Okay. And it also restricted the campaign, the mode of campaign. Suppose, for example, if you see the door-to-door campaign. So in this door-to-door campaign, now only three people can campaign. So for the particular candidate in a given area, only three people should go for this door-to-door campaign. And previously, polling station means each polling station used to have 1,500 voters. Now the number of voters also got minimized. It means the number of polling stations we have to increase. Yeah, definitely it's a burden on the administrative machinery. It will be costing more to the administration, but we cannot stop this. Under the current situation, if you want to go for the elections, you have to take some extra precautions. So these are some of the precautions. Next one, if you see here, if they go for the rally, when they are planning for a physical rally, and the state disaster management authority will decide how many members should be allowed. 1,000 members, 2,000 members, 3,000 members. According to the situation, the state disaster management authority will be allowing, will be giving permission to the particular political party to organize a rally, okay, with a prescribed number of audience. It is a difficult thing, but still here the powers are with the state disaster management authority to deal with it. Okay, so previously for filing nomination, if you see if you see election during the time of elections, okay, whenever the candidate get ready to file the nomination, okay, so before filing the nomination, they will create a huge hangama. Okay, so with lot of fanfare, they will go to file the nomination. But now here the election commission got restricted. Only 2 people should accompany the candidate who will be contesting elections to file the nomination papers. That means only 3 candidates will be going to file the nomination papers. At the same time, it also reduced the number of cards for road shows. For road shows, the number of cards got reduced to 5. Previously, you can have a convoy of 10 cards. Now the number of transport vehicles also got reduced. At the same time, there will be a temperature check for each voter. There will be a temperature check. Twice they will check. If there is a continuous showing of increased temperature than the prescribed limit, okay, then for those voters, they will be given a separate certificate. Okay, so at the end of during the last time, during the at the end of the completion, that time these people will be allowed to go for the voting. Okay. Along with that, we have this what you call postal ballot. This postal ballot system. Suppose we have these armed forces or the government employees for election purpose, those who are going to another place to work. They registered as a voter in one constituency, but because of the official duty, so they are working in another constituency. In that case, for these voters, what we call them as service voters. I think here I mentioned here, what we call them as service voters. Okay, so for these service voters, we already have this postal ballot concept. Now, we provided postal ballot to other individuals like these old age people, those who crossed 80 years. Okay, and those who are this COVID positive patients. And we have this disabled population. Okay, so for these people also, now Election Commission will be allowing the postal ballot. Postal ballot means, okay, so they will be provided a separate ballot paper on which they have to mark their vote and they have to put it into a ballot. Okay, so as of now, this facility is only for the service voters. Service voters means as just now I mentioned, those who are on official duty, armed forces, they comes under service voters. Okay. Along with that, Election Commission also came with a program called as Systematic Voter Education for Electoral Participation. It means it wants more number of people to come and participate. Right now, in the present pandemic times, we have this challenge of voter turnout. Okay. So right now, most of the people expecting like a less voter turnout. If less number of people are participating, it's very difficult. Okay, even in the last, if you see the 2019 general election, we have seen only around a 65% of voter turnout. So right now, due to the current COVID situation, if the voter turnout is less, so it won't give a strength to a meaningful democracy. So that's why Election Commission also started this electoral participation program, systematic voter education for electoral participation. Under this voter education, all aspects will be there. Awareness generation, curbing of illegal money, everything. Okay. So these are some of the what you call recent changes or the recent guidelines, okay, that have been provided by the Election Commission of India. Okay. For the conducting of elections in the upcoming months to the states, as we mentioned just now, like Bihar, Assam, and we have Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, and the Union Territory of Puducherry. Okay, so this is the current issue. Now let us try to link this current issue to the basic concept, that is elections in India. As you all know, in India, we have a democracy, parliamentary democracy. Okay, so we have a concept of elections because we have a representative democracy. That means in India, the representatives of the people, okay, they will be representing either at the state level or at the national level. At the national level, parliamentary elections, member of the parliament, or at the state level as a member of state legislative assembly, MLA. Okay, so from one constituency, the candidate will be representing in the state level and the central level systems. So that's why in India we have a representative democracy. At the same time, in India we also have a multi-party system. Any number of parties and any number of candidates can contest elections. We do not have limits like binary, something like that. Suppose, for example, if you take the case of US, there, when it comes to the presidential elections, we have the bipartisan system. We have the Democrats and we have the Republicans. Whereas in the case of India, we have a multi-party system. Any number of candidates, any number of parties can contest in a single constituency. Okay. So in India, we follow the multi-party system. At the same time, if you take the case of elections, if you take the case of elections, who are the key stakeholders? The key stakeholders are, one is the Election Commission of India, ECI. Second one is the political parties. Third one is voters. Okay, so we have a triangular relationship here. One side we have voter, we have a political party, we have the Election Commission. Okay, so see, political party, they will connect with the voters via campaign, but they have to follow the regulations of the Election Commission. Okay, so we have the three key stakeholders here: voters, political parties, and Election Commission. So for each and everyone, suppose for example here our area is political party. This political party, and again the issue is campaigns. This is the specific issue, campaign. So while campaigning for the elections, okay, what kind of rules and regulations that are to be followed by a political party will be framed by whom? Will be framed by Election Commission of India. It is the Election Commission of India that regulates and monitors, okay, the conduct of the political parties and the candidates, okay, via its established framework, because we have a constitutional provision to support this particular system, Article 324. Okay, now first let us come to some basic details. Here we are not going into the details of elections in India. Okay, we are just connecting the major points to the current issue. So if you see Election Commission derived its powers from the Constitution under the article called as Article 324. It is Article 324 that provides responsibilities, okay, to the Election Commission of India for conducting free and fair elections. Okay, so for this we have a framework that the Election Commission will use. Suppose for example we have this Representation of People's Act. Representation of People's Act. We have two acts. One act is of the 1950, second one is of 1951. Both the acts with the same name. Okay, the first act deals with the division of the constituencies. How many number of constituencies should be there? What should be the seat allocation? Okay, what should be the qualification of the voters? How many voters should be there in a constituency? All these aspects will be dealt under the first act, that is the 1950 Act. When it comes to second act deals with the conduct of the candidates. Second act deals with what? Conduct of the candidates. Okay, first one deals with conduction of elections. Second one deals with conduct of the candidates. Suppose for example here I mentioned certain sections. Section 8. It lays down the provisions of disqualification. Okay. Suppose if the punishment is of more than 2 years. If the punishment is of more than 2 years, okay, then the candidature of that particular candidate will be automatically cancelled. If you got elected as an MLA or an MP, but against you one case was proven, so for that you got imprisoned for more than 2 years, then automatically your candidature as a legislative party member or member of parliament will be automatically cancelled. Here you just remember one important point. Till 2013, this is very important. See, till 2013, if a candidate against whom there was a proven case, so for which the candidate got imprisoned for more than 2 years, in that case within 3 months they can file a petition. They can file a review petition. But in 2013, in the PUCL, People's Union for Civil Liberties versus Union of India, PUCL versus Union of India case, People's Union for Civil Liberties versus Union of India. People's Union for Civil Liberties versus Union of India case 2013. In that case, Supreme Court clearly mentions, okay, if the candidate against whom there is a case that is proven, so for which the candidate got imprisoned for more than 2 years, then the candidature of this candidate will be automatically cancelled. This is the most important point you have to remember. Okay, in the PUCL versus Union of India case 2013, this is what Supreme Court mentioned. People's Union for Civil Liberties versus Union of India case 2013. Most important case. At the same time, if you see, before 2 days of the elections, you have to stop campaigning. If not, actions can be taken against you. You should not give any interviews 2 days before the elections. You should stop all before 2 days. After that, within those 2 days, you should not give any kind of interviews. Okay, you should not give any kind of speeches. You should not organize any rallies. At the same time, we also ban these exit polls. Until happening of the elections, we should not conduct and reveal any exit polls. This is what the section 126A. Okay, Election Commission also got next one, Model Code of Conduct. The day Election Commission announces the dates, listen to this point. The day Election Commission announces the dates till end of elections, we will be having the Model Code of Action, Model Code of Conduct. From the date of announcement till the end of elections, this phase, yeah, the whole law and order will be under the control of the Election Commission. In this whole phase, that means from the date Election Commission announced the dates till end of the elections, this whole phase, Election Commission will regulate via the Model Code of Conduct. Okay. So for that, the Election Commission got the operational autonomy because it's the constitutional body. It can take any kind of action. Okay, but there are limitations to its actions, but it can take actions. So it got the operational autonomy. So this is what some information with respect to Election Commission, how it actually deal with the elections in India. Next one is political parties. So this is for your general information. How many political parties we have in India? See, we have as of now more than 2,500 political parties. To be specific, if you take the recent figure, because this figure may vary. So that's why you don't need to remember the exact figure like 2598. Because tomorrow if they establish another political party, the figure will vary. So that's why you don't need to remember this exact figure. Just roughly remember like 2,500 around. In India, we have around more than 2,500 political parties. Okay. So if you have to be considered as a political party, first you have to register. You must register with the Election Commission of India. Okay. After registration, you will be given a category. Suppose, for example, you will be recognized. The first aspect is first you should be registered. After registration, if you fulfill certain qualifications, okay, then you will be recognized. Okay. How you will be recognized? Either as a state party or as a national party. This is the structure. This is the flow chart. First one is registration. From registration comes recognition. Recognition again two types, state and national. So as of now, we have how many registered political parties? 2598 registered political parties. And in that, how many state parties we have? 52 state parties. And 8 national parties. Rest all are unrecognized registered parties. Rest all means here we have 2538. These all are the unrecognized registered political parties. See, they are registered, but they are not recognized. If you have to recognize, you should be having certain qualifications to recognize as a state party or the national party. As of now, we have 8 parties. See, recently, Trinamool Congress, All India Trinamool Congress and CPI, Communist Party of India, They both actually lost the national party status. Okay, but Election Commission decided that till 2024, it will not revise the current stage of national party procedure. So that's why till 2024, these are the political parties. The political parties that I mentioned here, these 8 political parties will be called as national parties, according to Election Commission of India. Some of the political parties, suppose for example, take the case of TDP, Telugu Desam Party. Telugu Desam Party claimed itself as a national party, but the Election Commission yet to recognize that. Okay, so as of now, we have 8 political parties. These 8 political parties you can remember. One is Trinamool Congress, All India Trinamool Congress, Bahujan Samaj Party, Bharatiya Janata Party, Communist Party of India, Communist Party of India, Marxist, Indian National Congress, National Congress Party, Sharad Pawar's, Maharashtra, and we have National People's Party, Conrad Sangma, Northeast. Okay, these are the total 8 political parties. Next, come to the qualification for a national party. You no need to remember this. This is a technical point. For your understanding, I mentioned here. You just remember that a party should win at least 2% of seats in the Lok Sabha from 3 different states. So this is the criteria. You just remember that there is a criteria for a national party and for a state party. So for your information, I provided the slide here. Okay, in examination, you will not reproduce this, but you just remember this because sometimes in prelims, these things may work out. So that's why pay attention on this. Yeah, I no need to explain anything because here it's a pure theory. We have just 3 categories. Either 2% of seats in 3 states or 6% of votes polled in any of the 4 or more states, in addition to 4 Lok Sabha seats. Or you should be recognized as a state party in 4 states. So any of the 3 conditions, if you fulfill any one of the 3 conditions, you will be considered as a national party. Next is we have the state party. State party means within the state you should be recognized. Within the state, you should get at least 2 seats. Okay. Or at least 6% of the valid votes. Suppose, for example, take the case of Janasena. Janasena party, JSP. JSP right now, is it a state party? Okay. If JSP has to be, if Janasena party has to be considered as a state party, it must win at least 2 seats or 1 seat in Lok Sabha or 2 seats in Assembly or 6% of the votes it should get. Or it should get a minimum of 3% of the total number of seats of the Legislative Assembly. Or it should get at least 1 seat in the Lok Sabha. Okay. Or else in the last one, at least it secures 8% of total valid votes. If anything, it fulfills. Then it will be considered as a state party. So now you just go and find out this, whether Janasena party is a state party or not. See, it's the question for you guys. So try to find out. You get the details. How much of vote share Janasena party got? You try to apply all the 4 points to Janasena party and get the answer. Let us see whether you will get an answer or not. Next, come to the direct point, that is the question, election campaign. How campaign actually happens in India, election campaigns. So we have the first thing, like, as I mentioned, road shows, rallies. Okay, door-to-door campaigns. Door-to-door campaigns. Okay, these all are direct contacts, direct contact with voters. Okay, second one is using the media. We will be seeing the prime time TV debates. We will be seeing giving interviews to the news channels. Okay, this is second one. Third is the recent, that is the electronic campaign, digital campaign. So this is the issue for us right now. The digital campaign. Digital campaign means immediately what you should remember? Social media. Okay. So via social media right now, the political parties depending on to campaign. Now the question is, to what extent the social media is effective enough, okay, for the campaigning of elections? Is it good or is it bad? Definitely both sides. We have some good and we have some bad. But what are the qualities of this electronic campaign, digital campaign? Definitely technology driven. Okay. Next, we have this virtual direct connect. If you take the case of TV, there you're not directly connecting with the people. Between you and the people, this television channel will be there. But via social media, directly you can contact with the people. We can have this virtual rallies. All this, if you see Amit Shah, already he started virtual rally in Bihar for the upcoming elections. Okay, so this is also called as this no contact campaign. You won't be in touch with your voter directly, but you will be in touch with them. It means virtual connection, no direct connection. So these are different modes of campaigns. Different modes of campaigns in India also that we follow before, like during the time of elections. Okay. Now the question is, what are the issues we have with this? As we mentioned, there definitely the positive sides means, okay, now it is providing an opportunity for the political parties to reach the younger generation via technology, because most of the younger generation, they are very much tech savvy. Tech savvy means they are very much in connection with, they are very much in touch with the technology. So in this way, political parties are expanding their voter base. So for that, social media platforms, they're very much becoming useful for them to campaign. But now comes, there are certain issues. What are the issues? Social media means internet. Yes or no? Social media means internet. But what's the internet coverage in India right now? We have only, out of the total 130 crores population, only 560 million people are getting access to internet. Near half, you can say. Near half of the population. That means still rest of the half of the population, they have issues with accessibility. The internet density of the country in rural areas, 25%, very low. So if I solely depend on a digital campaign, it will not give me the good results, the expected results. Second one, now that this COVID situation, we have restrictions for the physical campaign. Election Commission restricted the restricted the activities for the physical campaign. So that's why all the political parties, all the more than 2,500 political parties in the country, they have to depend on the digital platforms. Further, definitely, they have to make the expenditure. They have to purchase the screens. They have to purchase the mobile phones. They have to get access to the internet for all. Okay. An extra amount they have to spend. So it increases the expenditure. And the issue is here, the dispatch, the issue, the challenge, the imbalance. Who is in a better position here to use the technology? The bigger parties or the smaller parties? Definitely the bigger ones. Okay. So the bigger ones have a, like, because of their user base, they can influence more. So what most of the people are saying, it is actually challenging the equality of opportunity. In a democracy, everybody should be given equality of opportunity. It can be an independent or it can be a national party. For both independent and for a national party, for a national party candidate, both should be given equality of opportunity. But here, technology is adding more advantage to the national party, the bigger parties, comparing with the smaller parties. Okay, so this is another challenge that we have to understand. And the biggest challenge, fake news. So information, you can spread the false information. Okay, right, this is being used as a tool right now. Right now, fake news is being used as a tool to set the propaganda. Okay, the best platforms for this, Facebook and Twitter. Okay, now we have this WhatsApp medium also. The best source to spread the fake information, to spread the propaganda. Okay, so for which they are appointing these consultancies. So right now, social media is being used as a platform to spread this propaganda. Okay. So for which in the year 2019, for the 2019 general election, Election Commission of India, okay, in collaboration with these internet companies, not to be specific internet companies, these social media platforms, okay, both combinedly. It means Election Commission of India and social media platforms, they combinedly came up with voluntary code of ethics. Voluntary code of ethics means what they have to do to curb the fake information. Okay, so they mentioned a point like within 3 hours, if a complaint is filed, if it is proved that it's a fake information, within 3 hours Facebook has to block that. But the challenge is, even after agreeing for this voluntary code of ethics, still we have seen example of this Facebook during the time of elections. Though we have seen different some postings of some ruling party, okay, they are coming under the category of the hate speech. Hate speech means it what you call it inculcates a feeling of negativity towards another group of people in the name of religion, in the name of caste. This is what we call as the hate speech. Okay, though we have evidence of hate speech by the political party, the ruling party leaders, but still Facebook did not curb them. So that indicates, though we have the ethics, code of ethics, but it's voluntary. It cannot be forced on the social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter. So these are the issues. So how to overcome these issues? So for this, if you want to curb the fake news during the time of elections, Election Commission should be given some kind of autonomy and powers. It should be allowed to penalize the companies, platforms, those who are not following the rules. And we have seen these incidents like Cambridge Analytica. They're using the social media platforms to analyze the behavior of the people, accordingly targeting them. Okay, Cambridge Analytica is a different case. They will be using opinion poll. They will conduct opinion polls. By using that, they will get your data that they will give to the certain political party. Okay, if these kind of things, political consultancies, if they have to be, if you want to stop the misuse of them, then definitely Election Commission should be given more powers here. And when it comes to electoral funding, there should be a transparency we should follow, because it's a very broad issue. I'm not here to give a very detailed explanation about each and everything, because each topic is one separate topic. Here I'm giving a generalized opinion, because you can have everything under one umbrella. Actually, each thing we will discuss a separate topic. Okay, but here we are discussing about the overall campaign and the technology driven aspect to this. That's why we are just giving the whole idea. Like, we should have a digital literacy, we have a social media policy, we should empower the agencies, we have to encourage the specialists, we have to give importance to this data protection, because right to privacy is a fundamental right. Data protection is very essential in the age of internet right now. So in that way, we have to come up with these kind of specific strategies to overcome these challenges. So finally, the conclusion: in the age of Internet of Things, now we are in the age of information revolution. In this age, now you cannot say like, I will not be in touch with technology. You must be in touch with technology, but you should know where to differentiate the good from the bad. So for which the government, the people, okay, the internet, this social media platforms, so everybody should come together. Okay, they should coordinate with each other. Okay, eventually we should use the technology for the cause of the good of the society than for the alternate of it. So with that note, I am ending the topic. Thank you.